Cities of Migration Learning Exchange today is pleased to present the webinar, Cities at Work, Recruiting and Managing a Diverse Workforce. I'm delighted to welcome today's guests who join us virtually from the city of Saskatoon in Canada and Bremen in Germany to present successful strategies for the recruitment and human resource management practices developed by local governments as responsible local employers and service providers in an increasingly diverse urban landscape. Joining us today are Mubaraka Butt, who is Manager of Employment and Total Compensation at the City of Saskatoon, and Brigitte Protz-Schantz from the Training and Education Center of the City of Bremen. Their presentations will be followed by a question and answer period, so do feel free to submit questions throughout these presentations. As we learn more about this work and today's success stories, I'll ask all of you to imagine how some of today's good ideas might be adapted in your own city. Now please join me in welcoming our first presenter from Saskatoon in Canada. I'm delighted to introduce Mubaraka Butt, the Manager of Employment and Total Compensation at the City of Saskatoon. Under her leadership, the City of Saskatoon has been recognized as one of Canada's best diversity employers for its success in developing a workforce that is representative of its newly diverse population. Over to you, Mubaraka. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Kim. First of all, I would like to start off by thanking the Maytree Foundation for enabling such a fruitful educational platform through their program, the Cities of Migration, to connect employers and success stories from around the globe. Their efforts are truly commendable. I would also like to thank them for giving the City of Saskatoon an opportunity to share our humble successes with you all today. So I would like to start off by telling you a little bit about the City of Saskatoon, which is located in the province of Saskatchewan in Canada. Some of you are attending from across Canada, as I'm aware, and I'm sure you are aware of where Saskatoon is in Canada. For those of you who haven't heard much about it, Saskatoon has been perhaps Canada's best kept secret. It's a small city situated on the beautiful banks of South Saskatchewan River and located right within the province of Saskatchewan, and it is also the biggest city in Saskatchewan. Optimism and opportunity are two things that are booming in Saskatchewan right now. We are in the midst of an economic boom. Saskatoon is a vibrant and growing city, and it's definitely the place to be. That was my quick little sales pitch on the City of Saskatoon. I would like to tell you about some of our successes that we have had and some of the trends or the demographics that have impacted our successes. Saskatoon has been the fastest growing metropolitan area in Canada for the third year in a row now. Saskatoon CMA's median age is 35.4, which is the lowest in Canada, making us one of the youngest provinces. In 2009, Saskatoon attracted 6,590 immigrants. The city also grew 4.1% to 284,000 from 272,000 in 2012 alone. So net international migration was responsible for the largest proportion of growth in Saskatoon, Canadian metropolitan areas. In addition, it's interesting to note that 4 out of 10 immigrants that come to Saskatchewan choose to settle in Saskatoon. And the immigrant population in Saskatchewan tends to be very young. In 2009, about 28% of the immigrants were between the ages of 0 and 14 years of age, and 72% were the working age between 15 and 64 years of age. So you can see how that's had a huge impact on how we design our strategies with respect to employment. Also, according to a 2006 national census, approximately 6% of Saskatoon residents are a visible minority, with South Asian and Chinese being the largest visible ethnicities. So the success of recruiting and managing a diverse workforce lies within the diversity of our community, and that is why we established a vision that embraced our cultural diversity. In 2012, the City of Saskatoon adopted a vision statement that said, in 2030, Saskatoon is a world-class city with a proud history of self-reliance, innovation, stewardship, and of course, cultural diversity. Saskatoon is known globally as a sustainable city loved for its community spirit, robust economy, cultural experiences, environmental health, safety, and physical beauty. All citizens enjoy a range of opportunities for living, working, learning, and playing, and Saskatoon continues to grow and prosper, working with its partners and neighbors for the benefit of all. In addition to establishing our vision, the City of Saskatoon adopted a corporate strategic plan. One of our goals in our corporate strategic plan was to create a culture of continuous improvement. Under this goal, several strategies were identified by our City Council as well as gathered from a community visioning process. One of those long-term strategies was to offer an inclusive workplace that embraces diverse backgrounds. Among some of our other strategies, and you can access our strategic plan on our website at saskatoon.ca, among some of our other strategies were goals to create and encourage a workplace culture of continuous improvement that encourages innovation and forward thinking, and to develop and monitor a recruitment and retention strategy that attracts the best available talent and retains new employees over the long term. So these strategies were already guiding the direction that the City of Saskatoon wanted to go in the near future. To respond to our corporate strategic plan and the direction set out by our City Council and Senior Administration, the Human Resources Department worked on creating a workforce planning document called Workforce Futures. This was a document that was, the intent behind it was to identify what some of our challenges and opportunities were with respect to our workforce, and then design strategies and action items for the next 4 years that would help us address any gaps in that area. This Workforce Futures document identified 5 key strategic priorities. Among some of those were attraction, selection, and retention, the development of talent, technology and innovation, succession planning, knowledge transfer. So we did look at our multi-generational workforce. And one of our most important ones was to create an inclusive workforce. This aligned directly with the goal identified in our strategic plan to create an inclusive workforce that embraces diverse backgrounds. Under this strategic priority, we also identified 4 very key action items that would set the direction for diversity and inclusion for the City of Saskatoon for the next 4 years. We proposed that we create a business case for inclusion and diversity. We also devised a diversity and inclusion strategy that clearly communicates our stand on diversity and inclusion in the corporation, an Aboriginal employment strategy, as well as an intercultural and inclusion awareness, or initiatives that would address intercultural and inclusion awareness to make sure that our workforce was truly embracing diversity in the workplace. Our increasing diversity in our workforce, specifically visible minorities, as you will see in this graph, further solidify the reasons for our strategic approach. I will be focusing on our initiatives specifically for newcomers to the City of Saskatoon as employees today for the rest of my presentation. As you can see, we had almost more than doubled our population just within the City of Saskatoon employees in the area of visible minorities from 2007 to 2011. So what were we doing that was working? Well, our numbers were not just a result of the population demographics alone. Rather, there were other key contributory factors to our success as well. We have a dedicated resource in the area of diversity. Our diversity coordinator, who reports to myself, works with several partners across the city. Specifically for newcomers to the city, we have community organizations that we partner with. Some of them have been named here, and we've had quite a few successes with having some work mentorships and work placements through working with some of these partners as well. The Saskatoon Open Door Society, the Saskatchewan Intercultural Association, International Women of Saskatoon, the Provincial Government Ministry of the Economy, Global Gathering Place, Newcomer Information Center. And also in partnership with one of our internal departments, the Community Services Department, on their Saskatoon Immigration Action Plan. This was an action plan that was done in collaboration with the federal and provincial and municipal government to address the integration and welcoming of immigrants into the community. So this was more community-facing. The City of Saskatoon, the Human Resources Department partners with the Community Development Department on some of those common initiatives. In addition, we also did a lot of work on outreach and communication. Our diversity coordinator is also actively involved in presentations to clients and students. We have lots of handout materials that we provide to our different partners. We provide tours of city halls. So if one of our partners has for example, the International Women of Saskatchewan has a group of newcomer women who would like to learn a little bit more about the city, they schedule a timing with us and they bring 8 or 10 of them out and we give them tours of City Hall and educate them a little bit about some of our businesses and at the same time educate them on our employment process. We also participate in career fairs locally quite a bit, which has actually helped us in building our brand around the city. We attend approximately 15 to 20 career fairs throughout the year. Our weekly job postings, so all the new job postings that come out are sent directly to our partners across the province. We assist in doing mock interviews and we train our newcomers on how to prepare for an interview as well as provide them with some questions that would be asked of them if they were to go in and have an interview with another employer. So this again is done by our diversity coordinator. We also coordinate work mentorships, so we look for work opportunities within our different work units, and then we try and find the right matches from our partners because they will always refer different clients to us, and we have also had some success in work mentorships, where through a work mentorship an employee, that candidate who was first partaking in mentorship has gone on to become a permanent employee of the City of Saskatoon. We make sure that we provide adequate education and awareness to keep our partners engaged in our efforts and progress. So throughout the year, there's a couple of times that we try to communicate with our partners either in a group or individually, where we will for sure share with them our employment equity report. So once that employment equity report is created and submitted to the Human Rights Commission, we actually have a session for our partners to come in. We share the information of the employment equity report with them and allow for a question-answer session. We created our Workforce Futures document, which was a strategic document that identified our direction for the next 4 years. So we would roll out what that direction is, what that means, so that our partners are fully aware of where the city is headed. We do consultations with community organizations staff. We also put on a partnership appreciation luncheon, which was a huge success for us last year, and we plan on doing it again this year, where we invite all our partners to appreciate their efforts in working with us to find employment opportunities, in being patient with us to find employment opportunities. And we use that opportunity to also collect some qualitative data to measure how our partnership or how our relationship is working with them, and to identify areas for improvement so that we can communicate with them what those areas are and start working on them as well. And finally, under outreach and communication, the consultations with the diversity coordinator. These are available to both internal employees, so diversity candidates that have already been hired and are employees of the City of Saskatoon can meet with the diversity coordinator. We also respond to just candidates or applicants that are interested in speaking with the diversity coordinator to get better education on what our employment process is, and we can do that on a walk-in basis or an appointment basis. So the diversity coordinator makes herself available to accommodate that. She educates them on employment opportunities. We also provide assistance with getting foreign credentials recognized. So we will share with them, here are the partnership organizations that we're working with. You should go get your credentials recognized if you've just come to Canada, so that you can line yourself up for a job in a few more months. We educate them on what the qualification requirements are to gain employment with the City of Saskatoon, because a lot of times they're specifically interested in gaining employment with the city, and that's where we would provide them with what those qualifications mean and what the easiest route for them would be with respect to going to different educational institutions locally to get some equivalencies. We do a review of their resumes, and we provide them with some recommendations on how to improve their resumes. And again, we provide interview assistance. The results of our partnership feedback survey that we were really pleased to see showed that pretty much our partners were very happy with the relationship, and it was working very well with the city. This is based on last year's results. We haven't had our partnership appreciation luncheon this year yet. So this percentage, the percentages here with respect to our relationship working with them shows whether our relationship was good or very good. So 94% of them believe that accessibility is good or very good with the City of Saskatoon. Dependability, 96% of them believe it's good or very good with the City of Saskatoon, and so on and so forth. So we're really pleased to see that the efforts we were putting forward were truly being recognized amongst our partners as well. So the other area where we spent a lot of time this year was to change the internal conversation. We really did start talking a little bit more in our corporation about diversity. So rather than just the diversity coordinator being out in the face of the community and working with the partners, we wanted to draw the connection, and we wanted to put the efforts of what we were doing out there within our, with our partners, and connect that back to our managers and our leaders in the corporation. So we have been working on creating an intercultural awareness training, specifically that focuses on intercultural competencies. We've also facilitated positive interventions and education for managers with a diverse workforce. So where managers have seen an increase in a diverse workforce, and we know that as leaders they're perhaps not equipped or are struggling to understand how to deal with the diversity and the diverse needs of their newly acquired workforce, we've gone in and provided support, even if it has meant to bring a community partner in to speak to them about how to help their newcomers integrate. We've brought in, or we've asked the Human Rights Commission to come in and provide more information on the duty to accommodate different and diverse needs as well. We also, for the first time this year, held an Inclusive Workplace Champion Recognition Luncheon. This was an internal event to celebrate the successes of our leaders in our corporation who have gone above and beyond in being a diverse leader, an inclusive leader, and have championed inclusivity and diversity in some way. And we had a lot of success with that. We had 7 people that were nominated from across the corporation, and we had our CEO come in and hand out recognition certificates to them, and it was really a great honor for all of them to receive that recognition. It was such a success, we've been asked that we need to continue doing it and we need to make it larger, and we're looking forward to doing that in the coming years. We also conducted focus groups to have diversity dialogue and identify training needs of our workforce and conducted a qualitative perception survey. The purpose of the qualitative perception survey was to gain a better understanding of, so here's how we are perceiving diversity is working in the corporation, but how are our employees perceiving that diversity is working in our corporation? Do they feel that they are receiving equitable treatment? Is their knowledge and perception of our respectful workplace policies and harassment policies in line with our intent of these policies? Are these policies working? Are they aware of them? So it was a really good way for us to gather some qualitative data from our staff, and we did this in focus groups to gain a better understanding of what are some of the gaps. And once again, whatever those gaps are, once identified, will align to our strategic direction over the next few years. So ultimately, success defined, what does that mean for us? And how did we get here? I think there are some key reasons for our success. One of them is that we have taken a proactive approach in educating on the city's employment opportunities, application process, and credential recognition. We do not, we're very transparent about our process. As with many cities, they're unionized. There are unionized environments in place that sometimes can create barriers for newcomers who want to enter an organization. We've been very open and transparent about explaining and educating people on that process and then helping them find their way through getting their credentials recognized and their education up to par. We've also personalized the City of Saskatoon experience through face-to-face contact. So the key there has been relationship building with our candidates and also with our partners. We've facilitated the integration of these applicants by giving them tools to present themselves in sellable ways while highlighting their skills. So when they need to gain that confidence that their education and credentials that they're bringing from another country can be recognized, and to help them gain that confidence and get back into the job market in a new country, we've kind of held their hand and provided the support that these applicants need to integrate into a completely new workplace in a completely new country. And finally, I think we've built our brand successfully as one of Canada's best diversity employers by ensuring that we have face-to-face contact, we're at the career fairs, we're meeting people, and we're very transparent and open about our processes. And that has actually been the key contributor to building our brand as Canada's best diversity employer. Thank you very much. That brings me to the end of my presentation.
Well, thank you, Mubaraka, for sharing Canada's best-kept secret with us and showing us what progressive leadership on diversity issues really can achieve. That was just great. Thank you. So now please join me in welcoming our next speaker from Bremen, Germany. Brigitte Protz-Schanz is responsible for employee training at the Bremen Training and Education Center. Brigitte shares experiences of a successful campaign led by the City of Bremen to recruit more young people from immigrant background into the civil service under a compelling slogan, "You are the key, your future and your city." So Brigitte, welcome. Please, the podium is yours.
Okay. Hello, I'm Brigitte. First of all, I would like to thank you, Maytree Foundation, to give us a platform for presenting our campaign from Bremen. And may I excuse my English because I'm not a native speaker since Mubaraka. I speak only usually on holidays English, and so I hope I can bring it over to you quite fast. Bremen is campaign for more trainees. You are the key to your future and your city. May I introduce to this? First, with some Bremen statistics. Bremen is a Hanseatic city in northwestern of Germany. More well known is Hamburg. It's about 1 hour by car away from Bremen. The population of Bremen is about 500,000 people in April 2012, and 25% of whom were non-German origin or ethnicity. The civil service of the City of Bremen has 47,000 employees with an average age of 47 years, and we have about 8% of trainees here. The labor market situation is as follows. The challenge was that the civil servants as an employer, school is very abstract for school pupils, and most of them have no idea what the public service is. They are very unfamiliar with the notion. The special situation is that pupils from immigrant families who have no contact because they have no parents or friends or family members they are also working at the civil service, and therefore they have no contacts here and no network. Growing competition with small parishes and enterprises for suitable trainees is a problem because of the decreasing numbers of pupils in Germany. Increasingly unoccupied jobs, example for the fire brigade here in the civil service, is a problem. We don't find qualified applicants in the moment. The recruitment campaign, You Are the Key, based on a Senate resolution from 2009. The decision was that to start a cross-departmental campaign for the intercultural opening of the administration. Involved departments are the police, the fire brigade, Senator of Finance, Senator of Education and Science, the Hanseatic Higher Regional Court, the Penal Institution, Training and Education Center of the City of Bremen. We started across media marketing with the theme. We published this in print media, in the website, Facebook, and in the internet. And we also made films about training programs run by the Free Hanseatic City of Bremen. In addition, we hold information fairs and organized internships. Furthermore activities are, we made 6 short films about training programs as a cinema advertising. This was shown in Bremen's cinemas. And we created and produced booklets about training programs run by Bremen's civil service, also in Russian and Turkish language, and created a campaign logo which are now on the official cars. And furthermore, we organize training information fairs for the civil service careers once a year, and developed a network for institutions in which people with an immigrant background get organized, in particular, for example, Turkish Parents Association. Further, we have voluntary placement for 1 day in administration. That means that young pupils are allowed to look inside in the administration for 1 day, like perhaps a Girls' Day, more well known. And regular information events for school classes we have. Also, we produced a song, Key to the City, together with a video clip, which you can find on our homepage. Public relations activities in the print media we often have, and presenting training options at career information fairs. We're launching the campaign under the website Presents. Now you see booklets with the young trainees for the different kinds of contents. The first one is a booklet describing the traineeship. The next one is a booklet we've brought out for the parents of Turkish migrants, and another one for the parents of Russian migrants. And also we have our poster announcing the Fair Education and Career, which we had in the Town Hall of Bremen in 2012. 2012 also we have career information in events focusing on migrants. For example, we have career information events in youth camps for youth with an immigrant background. participation in the 2012 African Football Cup, an information desk at the African Fair also in 2012, and we hold career information event for parents with an immigrant background, for example, for the Turkish Parents Association. In the next you can see the pictures from this event, the mixed teams with employees from the fire brigade, from the administration and migrants. And above you see we sponsored the shirts with our campaign logo, "You are the key," the yellow ones, you see, girls. The next step was that we have an evaluation of the attractiveness of the free Hanseatic City of Bremen. That means that we started a project carried out by the candidates for the office of superintendent of the students from the 2010 cohort. They have the evaluation between September 2011 to August 2012, and they find out as a result from the interview with candidates, they interviewed 481 persons, and you can see the difference between females and males. And they found the following. For it, you can see what the candidates found out. The first question was, what was your initial experience of the Free Hanseatic City of Bremen as an employer like? It was not surprising that about the majority got their experience via internet. The next was the print media, and then family members, information fairs, agency of employers, and so on until presentation at school. Then we had the question, are you familiar with the You Are the Key campaign training? And found out that about 80% amazingly have heard about our campaign. And point 3 was the campaign addresses applicants from all areas of society and independently of their cultural background. We appealed by the campaign that more than 80% says yes, we know that. And now we come to the successes of the campaign. First, we could reach an increase in recruitment numbers for immigrants, especially to the clerks, to 40% raise in 2013. Then we are taking additional language skills into consideration in selection procedures. We supporting trainees, for example, by improving German language skills, and making employment ads appeal to immigrants and encouraging them to apply for jobs. Yes, that was it from Bremen. I hope I could give you a short insight into our campaign. Thank you for your attention, and excuse my English, please.
I thank you, Brigitte. That was a wonderful presentation in perfect English. So I want to thank you very much for unlocking the secret to Bremen's success. These portraits and smart programs for young people really are inspiring. So we have now concluded the formal presentation part of our webinar. We'll be moving on to the Q&A. I hope you've all learned as much as we have from these innovative and practical ideas, and we'll be submitting questions. You know what they say, good ideas travel, so you will notice that there's a new poll on your screen. Let us know if you'd adapt one of today's good ideas in your own city. You can cast your vote anytime now and throughout the remainder of the session. So let's move to a couple of questions for the presenters before we open up the Q&A to the public. I'd like to talk a little bit more about developing a recruitment strategy that does not exclude. Mubarka, you have said, and I quote, "We want to make sure that while we are diverse, we are inclusive at the same time." Can you explain what you mean by that, please?
Sure, thanks, Kim. So I guess specifically when we refer to diversity, diversity refers to a wide range of differences that exist among people, and specifically has to, or is tied into representation or having a representative workforce. So people of different backgrounds, whether it's different racial backgrounds, different ethnicities, gender backgrounds, that is really a diverse workforce. Inclusion, on the other hand, is where we want to strive to have all people who are represented feel included in this family and make them members and partners within the organization, make them feel welcomed and valued, not only for their abilities, but also for their unique qualities and perspectives. So when we look at these two things, while diversity and representation can be achieved through numbers, inclusion is truly qualitative, and it can only be achieved through the successes of your strategies, the strategic direction set out by your organization, and the programming that then follows those strategic priorities. Does that answer your question, Kim?
That's very good, thank you. And Brigitte, in Bremen, the city also took care to develop an inclusive recruitment strategy. Why was it important to direct the campaign to more than just the city's minority population?
We have 25% migrants. Every second child under 6 years in Bremen is a migrant. And so we saw that migrants are underrepresented in the civil service. So we want to recruit them. And that is the public service idea, that the public service should be the mirror of the society a bit.
Very good. Moving on to another question, one of the biggest obstacles to employment can be obtaining recognition of foreign credentials, something that really needs to be done before the job application process can even really begin. In your experience, how can this problem be addressed? And I think we have two very different scenarios here, but so it'll be interesting to see what each of you has to add on the question of recognizing foreign credentials. And again, let's start with you, Mubaraka.
I think for us, to make this, or to help, in order to help this issue, what we have already done that has actually worked for us has really been proactive communication with our community partners. So the first point of contact for the newcomers are our community partners, or immigrant settlement agencies that we work with. And so they are already communicating to them the information that we are communicating to our partners. We also think one of the really important keys here is to be as transparent as possible with respect to what the process really means. If it's going to take 6 months for somebody to go get a specific educational credential, whether it's the assessment or the equivalency that they need to go through, and then it's going to take another 2 months for them to follow another process before they can apply for this job, I think it's really important to lay that out up front. So I think communication and transparency would be the key to addressing this in a proactive way.
Helping people really understand what's required. And for you, Brigitte, in Bremen, how are you addressing the issue of gaining the credentials needed to do the job?
If I understand your question right, I would say that we have to encourage the immigrants with our campaign and our media ads for application to apply for the civil servants. Otherwise, I can't really understand what you mean, which point you want to hear.
In Canada, we recruit a lot of our immigrants through a point system, and then many of our job candidates, people arrive with credentials that may not actually be recognized here. So the challenge of getting those credentials recognized it can be a significant challenge. I think in Bremen, do you not tie a significant amount of training to the recruitment strategy that you've undertaken?
Not before they apply for the jobs here in the city. Afterwards, if they have applied, first, we have only the possibility to recruit them by ads and our campaign, and we have lots of public help from the Senate of Bremen, who support this very much, our campaign, and migrants are in all ads in our inside ads we have for the jobs.
Okay, very good. Well, the public awareness campaign mounted in Bremen really has been incredibly successful. The data you shared with us on public awareness, the level of public awareness there is very impressive. It clearly was a critical part of your recruitment effort. In Canada, mainstream media has made much of Saskatoon's recent growth and diversity. So I guess my next question to both of you is why is it important to share your story with the general public and mainstream media? What difference does this make? And again, let's start with Mubaraka.
For one, I think the media and actually acknowledging and bringing out your success stories in the mainstream media actually really does aid in helping building your brand as an employer who is concerned with diversity and is responding to the growing population or whatever demographics you may be facing in the city. I think in our case, we set out to really brand ourselves as a top employer. We got 2 recognitions, one as one of Saskatchewan's top employers, and the second one as one of Canada's best diversity employers. Those 2 awards or recognitions, I think, really just helped us grab a lot of attention. And when people started to approach us to ask us, what are you doing that's working, we were really able to share our successes and also hear other people's successes, learn from other people's successes, and quickly improvise and really benchmark ourselves against the Canada's best diversity employer practices. And so I think what the media or mainstream media does is even efforts like this one today, it just spreads the word. It helps with the education. It opens the communication channels. It allows people to ask you questions and even gives you an opportunity to continuously improve your current programming as well.
Very good. Thank you very much. And Mubaraka, excuse me, not Mubaraka, Brigitte, your public awareness campaign, why is it so important to share your story?
Yes, we have a lot of awareness in the public and in the public service as well for the campaign, and we have a lot of support from all departments about the whole civil service, and we hope to make the campaign more known for the public, especially for our immigrants, inhabitants, and we go on this way with all campaign activities and think for new steps we want to go.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. I want to move on to our Q&A session. We've got some interesting questions coming in. I have our first question is from Peter Paul with the Allies Network here in Toronto. He says, great presentations, and asks, what advice would you give to leaders in diversity to begin the process of changing the conversation on inclusion in their municipalities or within their city departments? What are some important early steps to take? So how do you, where do you begin, and how do you engage leadership around these issues? Mubaraka?
Well, I can maybe relate a little bit to our story. How we began was definitely at the top. Our CEO showed interest in us pursuing an assessment of how we were doing through this application process of either being selected as a top employer. And once we actually initiated that process and got our results, we were able to identify those gaps. And so we only needed a little bit of direction right from the top to say, pursue this because we want to be a top employer. or an employer of choice, and we want to be recognized for that and brand ourselves as that. As soon as we started the process, everything else was just sort of a ripple effect, and it was the next right natural thing to do. So we got feedback that said, here's where you're doing really well, here are areas of improvement that you require. So we took that feedback, took into account what was realistic for our environment with respect to our gaps, what were some of the immediate changes we could make that didn't require a significant amount of change, and we started to propose that back to our senior leadership and looking for some direction as to here's where our gaps are, here's what we would like to do, and we took baby steps in this. And I think that's really important, that no matter what you're doing when it comes to diversity and inclusion, and depending on where you're located and how diverse your community is, Saskatoon has seen diversity kind of grow really, really quickly in the last few years, which is probably unnatural for most other cities. So we really had to respond in a way that we could actually build credibility in what we were doing in our programmings and our initiatives within our corporation by taking baby steps. So when we identified the gaps, the first thing might have been, we think we should do an inclusive champion recognition for leaders within our corporation and bring to their attention what a great job they're doing with respect to diversity and inclusion initiatives. That's one small step, not a huge investment, but it ended up being a huge success. So now that we've identified that and we've overcome that and we've received kudos for that internally, we've now identified our next step. So then we'll take our next proposal to senior management. I think baby steps and having the communication channels open between human resources, in our case, who is responsible for the hands-on work, and strategic direction that comes right from the top. That open communication between those two groups, I think, is very key, at the initial stages anyway.
So a highly integrated process. Thank you very much. And Mubaraka, and I'd like to ask you, Brigitte, what was the most successful or important step involved in getting leadership on board in the city of Bremen? Where did the push behind this wonderful initiative come from?
The push for the campaign first from the Senate resolution, and I think also inside from our center, because we had the idea for these special steps and activities. They came from us, and since we work with young people in all from all inhabitants groups, and also our young students and clerks have a lot of ideas, and but the most thing I think comes here from the clerks who works here. All of us, we have the ideas to think about what we can do to for application processes and to the diversity, and how we can use the communication channels, and to make it to publish it for the civil servants and for women as well.
Okay. We've got a lot of questions. Thank you very much. We've got a lot of questions, so we're going to try to move quickly through the next few questions. I have a question from Jessica Sages in the city of Edmonton, who asks, how do you encourage immigrants to actually apply for civil service jobs? So I'd like to ask each of you to give one or two ideas about how you've actively encouraged immigrants to apply for jobs, starting with you, Brigitte.
Yes, we encourage immigrants, especially since we have the special ads we have and the booklets we gave out in the 4 languages, and posters, and which we have in the street where the bus stations are. We have it, and also, as I said, the song we produced, and the campaign prints are all over here in Bremen. You can see it all over, and lots of people identify with them.
So it's highly visible and irresistible. Great strategy. How about you, Mubaraka?
Well, I think some of our success, once again, just goes to the natural growth that our province has seen. I wouldn't say we had a formal strategy in place to attract immigrants and encourage them to apply for the city. However, I think more on an informal basis, some of the key contributors, once again, to our successes were the communication with our community partners. We actually go to their offices to facilitate mock interviews with their clients. We go to their offices to whenever they put up big career fairs, and their entire client base is there. So, once again, making face-to-face contact, showing up in the community to the point where certain people already know who our representatives are, recognize them, know them on a first-name basis, have been in contact with them for a number of months to talk about their credentials. So really, I think just making sure that there is active involvement within the community is what's really helped us with respect to attracting our newcomer population.
So real community engagement, that's great. Thank you very much. Now I have a question from Munich, from Franziska Soldatis, who thanks you both and asks about the goals and content of the intercultural awareness training offered and how and about the acceptance of the training. Mubaraka.
It's actually a very new initiative for us right now, Francisca. So I'll tell you how kind of we embarked upon this. Although we had identified in our strategic document for our workforce planning that we needed to create this intercultural awareness training, one of the things we were really pleased to hear was that one of our existing internal training programs called the Management Development Program, which is to help up-and-coming leaders develop their management skills. Had the participants of that program, over 100 of them, had identified that they felt that diversity was an area where they needed more training. And so as soon as that feedback came into us, we were really pleased to see that this is on top of people's minds right now, because so much is changing around our city with respect to diversity, not only as an employer and as an employee dealing with diverse employees and fellow employees within the workplace, but within the community, within their neighborhoods. They've got a huge overflow of diversity, and they want to learn more about what are or gain with respect to intercultural competence, the skills that they need to be successful in dealing with it. So what we did was we went after, we gathered these groups in focus groups, we kind of broke them down, the MDC participants, and we did inventory of what were some of the things that they were seeing that they wanted handled. So we got the one-liner that said we want to learn more about diversity. We said, what does that mean? Let's get into it more. And we identified what those themes were after those focus groups were conducted. Based on those themes, we put them out there to find out what are the existing intercultural awareness training programs out there that are working for organizations. And so we have just embarked upon intercultural awareness training. It is so new for us. We haven't even actually delivered it. We plan on doing it right here in May.
Well, congratulations. That is terrific. And I would like to ask, I would also like to take this question to Brigitte, and we have just a few more questions that I'd like to do before we close. Our time is running out. Brigitte, what has been the impact of your work on Native residents of the city and Native employees within the civil service in Bremen? How has your intercultural awareness training impacted that?
Yes, we have also, for all clerks in the civil service, we have a training, a special offer. It's called intercultural training, which we have all to do, to take part in. And there we have trainees from other countries, who give us information from the special cultural points of the countries and try to give us help how we can keep on with people from other countries, especially in the departments where we have publicum, that is public, where we have guests, clients, clients, genau, where we have clients.
Excellent. So I would like to close the Q&A with two questions from speakers that are very closely related. Ratna Ahmedvar in Toronto asks, what are the strategies and approaches you deployed to counter criticism of reverse discrimination? And also I would like to put the related question to you from Jan Kopkas at the Brno Expat Center. How do you work with public opinion and stereotypes against foreigners? How do you target any message to the majority population about negative stereotyping? And again, let's start with you, Brigitte, on the subject of how you address accusations of reverse discrimination and what you do to counter negative feedback.
So, shall I start?
Yes, please.
In Germany we have a law against anti-discrimination of discrimination of all people, for the gender, for the race and age, religion, and this is where we work after this, especially when they apply for a job here. We have to beware of this.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So, yeah.
So you have you work with existing legislation to ensure that these issues are appropriately addressed. That's great. And for you, Mubaraka, are there particular strategies that you've used to address these issues?
You know, in all honesty, we're at such kind of introductory stages of bringing forward the intercultural awareness training that we really have not even experienced anything like that yet. In fact, we were pleased to hear that our workforce is identifying that they want to embrace this and want to learn more about this, which is the opposite of what the question is referring to. So I don't think that has been a challenge for us yet. However, I would assume, though, that from a strategic standpoint, it would really be communication, awareness, and recognition of diversity and inclusion as your number one priority in the corporation that would help probably eliminate some of those issues. It is a challenge to create an inclusive work environment. There's no doubt about that. But I think if you have the right direction right from the top, from your leadership, and the support that you need, you will for sure be successful.
That's great. Very good. Well, I would like to thank both of you. We're at the end of the Q&A. The hour has come to a close. I always like to close our session by asking our presenters a final, very short question. Only one word is required, and the question to each of you is, what is the one, if you could choose one word, what is the one most important secret to your success? Mubaraka?
That's a tough question for a one word. I would say open communication.
Open, very good. And to you, Brigitte, what is the secret to your success in Bremen?
Depends on the campaign, I would say creativity.
Creativity, very good, excellent. Well, thank you very much. Our time has run out. We'll send all unanswered questions to our presenters and share those with you with the archive video later. So please, on behalf of all our participants, I want to thank Mubaraka Butt from the City of Saskatoon and Brigitte Pratz-Schanz from the City of Bremen. Thank you so much. I'd like you all to imagine this excellent work being interpreted in your own city, adapted by your own organization, or changing the neighborhood that you live in. And we'd like to hear your stories too, and we'd like to continue sharing these great practices, so please do stay connected.